Hi everyone, I'm Lorelei from witchchat.com and this is my first broadcast, and I'm pretty excited but I'm also dead nervous, so you're gonna have to bear with me, but I really hope you all enjoy it. In my broadcast I will be covering mythology and folklore from Ireland. And I would like to hear from you guys as well if any of the tales or folklore I tell you about are similar to the myths and legends or folklore in your culture or practices or even your spiritual beliefs. And yeah. Can anyone hear me, just to do a sound check? Because I'm kind of paranoid about the sound. Hi Coyote. Amy and Shadow. Hey everyone. Okay, so the first. Oh, hey Pagan Star. Thanks, Marcus. Okay, so. Oh, Lucid, hey. Alright, okay, so the first part of my broadcast will cover the general background of the tale, and I'll tell you a little bit about the theory. After that, we can take a 5-minute break from hearing me talk, and then I will read you an old Irish tale that has been passed down through the years, through the centuries, through word of mouth. Tales then would have been told by word of mouth, because most people were illiterate in early Christian Ireland. A lot of these tales were written down in the 8th century, and a lot of them, they're a lot older than the 8th century, of course, but the tale I'm going to be reading tonight is actually set in the 1st century, before Christianity reached Ireland. Bother. Okay, so today or this evening, depending on your time zone, I'll be reading the Tain Bó Cuailgne. In English, you might have heard of it as the cattle raid of Cooley. It's the part of the Ulster cycle in the Irish mythological tales, or in the early Irish mythological tales, and it is preceded by a number of tales leading up to it. The Pangs of Ulster, or Macca's Curse, being one of them, in which this particular tale is mentioned. This particular tale mentions Macca's Curse, which I'll be reading after the break. Some interesting facts about the Tain. It's set in Ulster and Connacht, with much of the action taking place in County Louth. And it's originally written in Old Irish, and it's been translated several times into modern Irish and of course English, which is why I'm actually able to read it to you today. I can't speak Irish for the life of me. It's absolutely shameful because I'm Irish. So anyway, a lot of the place names would be in Old Irish, and if I come across any, I'll try and explain them to you. I'll do my best. And it was in the Tain Bó Cuailgne was actually present in the Book of Leinster. I think Marcus mentioned it earlier. Oh no, he mentioned the Book of Kells. So yeah, does anyone want to hear about some of the characters before we take the break and I start the story? Sometimes I do too, Coyote. Okie Okay, so some of the characters in this story. Ailill. He's the king. He is the husband of Queen Maeve, living in Cruachan in Connacht. Maeve is the Queen of Connacht, and her father was the High King of Ireland. Cuchulainn, the hero of Setanta. He's the son of the god Lugh and of Dectrin. He's the foster son of Sutan. I mispronounced that. He is the hero throughout the tales, and no one's ever beaten in battle until the very end. Dharma Fiachna. He's the chieftain of Cooley and the owner of the brown bull in the tale. Yeah, he is awesome. I love Cuchulainn. Fergus, the king of Ulster. Finnbhennach is the name of Dharma Fiachna's brown bull, and he's awesome too. Briku, he crops up briefly in this tale, but there is he actually does have his own tale. I will read that as well. He's a sneaky, devious advisor of Ulstermen. A tavern? Well. Conchobar is the son of Cata and Ness. Okay, so that was brief. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to play a little bit of music. And do you want a 5 minute break? Well, I want a 5 minute break. Do you want a 5 minute break? I'll have a 5 minute break. Play a little bit of music. Okay, we are back. So give me a heads up when you're all back and I'll hang on for you. Okay, is everyone ready for the story? Okay, so there's going to be a little bit of background music in this. If it's disturbing you or anything, just let me know. I'll probably cut out halfway through anyway, because it's rather short. Okay. The Tain Bó Cuailgne. Queen Maeve ruled over Connacht, and when Eireann married her, he became her king. They were both very powerful and proud rulers. One night, they were sitting in bed squabbling. Eireann said to Maeve, "It strikes me how much better off you are today than the day I married you." Maeve's father had been the High King of Ireland, so she was a very rich woman. She was offended that Eireann thought that he was wealthier. The king and queen started to compare their wealth. The servants were commanded to gather and bring forth all of Maeve's and Eireann's jewellery, gold, fine clothes, animals and all other valuable goods. Finally, when there was hardly any room left in the castle, they agreed that there was only one thing Eireann possessed that Maeve did not. This was the great white-horned Tain Bó Cuailgne, a stud full of incredible pedigree. Maeve had to agree that she did not own a bull to match Eireann's. In fact, there was only one bull in the whole of Ireland that did. He belonged to an Ulsterman called Tain Bó Cuailgne, and she was determined to match her husband. So she sent a messenger to Ulster asking Dar for the loan of a bull for the year. In return for the loan of the bull, Maeve's messengers offered Dar 50 heifers, a plot of land in Connacht, a chariot, and the friendship of Maeve. Dar jumped for joy at the generous offer and accepted immediately. He called a feast to celebrate and invited all the messengers. Alas, some of them had too much to drink and became very brash and loud. They were overheard saying that if Dar had refused Maeve's offer, they would have robbed the bull anyway. When Dar heard this, he was furious and he sent them packing in the morning empty-handed. When Maeve received this news, she did not think twice about going to war. She wanted the bull and she would have it, even if it meant going to Ulster and taking it by force. So she began to assemble a huge army from the 3 other provinces of Ireland. Eireann also called together his armies to join it with those of his wife. Before the army of Maeve set off from Connacht, a fortune teller called Fendlin came to see Maeve. She foresaw a disturbing vision, which frightened Maeve. Little did Maeve know how accurate Fendlin's prophecy would prove to be. The prophecy was as follows: "I see him moving to the fray. Take warning, watch him well. Cuchulainn Saldrin's son. Now I see him in pursuit. Whole hosts he will destroy, making dense massacre. In thousands you will yield your heads. I am Fendlin. I hide nothing." The army of Maeve began its march to Ulster to capture the famous bull. Due to the Ulster warriors suffering from the pangs of Ulster, the whole province had just one 17-year-old man, Cuchulainn, to defend it against the thousands of soldiers. The army made its way into Ulster unopposed. However, once there, it was terrorised by Cuchulainn. Every day he killed hundreds by picking them off with a slingshot. He killed more by hunting down stray troops. Maeve became very anxious. She offered Cuchulainn money, land, and women to convince him to change sides. Instead, he promised to stop attacking the army if they sent one warrior to fight him every day, and if Maeve would agree not to take any cattle nor move position until he was beaten. Maeve agreed. No matter how fierce Cuchulainn was, she thought she surely could find someone in Ireland who could beat him. Cuchulainn defeated every warrior that appeared before him. Soon, Maeve found that she was running out of men who were willing to take him on. She was forced to ask Cuchulainn's own stepfather, Fergus, to fight him. When Fergus got to the battlefield, he found he could not even fight his own stepson. Cuchulainn agreed to yield on condition that Fergus agreed to return a favour at another time in the future. After Fergus, there was only one man left among Maeve's armies who had a chance against Cuchulainn. This was Ferdia, Cuchulainn's foster brother. However, Ferdia did not wish to fight. Maeve had to use all of her cunning to convince him to take up arms against Cuchulainn. At first, Ferdia would not even go to meet Maeve. She forced his hand by threatening to spread word throughout the kingdom that he was afraid. Then Maeve got Ferdia drunk and promised him her daughter's hand in marriage. Even that was not enough. It was only when she lied to him, saying that Cuchulainn had said he would not consider beating Ferdia as a great triumph, that Ferdia agreed to fight. Both Cuchulainn and Ferdia were matched evenly in strength and skill. They each had been trained in combat by the famous she-warrior Scahach in Scotland. However, there was two features which separated them. While Cuchulainn had the Gaig Bolga, Ferdia possessed a coat of horn-like armour that no ordinary weapon could pierce. The fight between the brothers raged on for 5 days. Each day it brought a new choice of weapon. The whole of Ireland was enraptured by the gruelling contest. Finally, Ferdia found a way through and pierced Cuchulainn's chest with his sword. Cuchulainn only had one option left: the deadly Gaig Bolga. He hurled his spear and it penetrated Ferdia's armour, and as the story goes, went coursing through the highways and byways of his body so that every joint filled with barbs. Cuchulainn was so spent and sad after his defeat of Ferdia that he retired to get some rest and healing. He had done an excellent job of defending Ulster. He had stopped Maeve's progress, slaughtering thousands of her warriors. Although she had managed to find the brown bull and get him to her camp, Maeve was still trapped in Ulster. Just in time, the men of Ulster began to recover from their pangs. Everything was building towards a final battle to decide who would win back the bull. The battle involved all of the most accomplished warriors in Ireland, both men and women. King Conchobar of Ulster, Fergus, Maeve and Eireann all fought in it. Due to his need to recover from his own battle, Cuchulainn could only listen from his bed to the mighty roars of his two stepfathers, Conchobar and Fergus, as they fought against one another. As the battle between Ulster and Connacht raged, Cuchulainn could not stay resting for long. He soon drew off his bandages and dashed to the battlefield. He approached his stepfather Fergus and demanded he yield, as Fergus had promised when Cuchulainn had yielded before. Fergus agreed and deserted the battle with his 300 troops, leaving Maeve and Eireann to fight on alone. Realising now she could not fight the battle outright, Maeve sent the Great Bull of Cooley on the journey back to her kingdom in Cruachan, with 50 of his Haefers and 8 messengers. Then she and Eireann retreated back to Connacht too. The battle was over. And though Maeve had lost many soldiers, she thought she had at least secured the bull. On the journey back to Connacht, the Don Cooley, or Brown Bull, met Eile's famous Finbanach, or White Bull, on the hill called Tain Bó, the place of bull grief. The people chose a man called Riku to judge the fight between the two bulls, because he was seen to be no fairer to his friend than to his enemy. The bulls paused on the ground, their eyes blazing in their heads like fire, and their cheeks and nostrils swelling. When they charged, their hoofs trampled Riku, who met his end. The two great animals enraged in a brutal fight, which lasted all day and all night. In the morning, the men of Ireland saw Don Cooley going towards his own land with his mangled remains of Finbanach hanging from his horns. For 2 days the bull dropped the entrails of the White Bull all over Ireland. Finally he returned to Ulster and died. Eilean and Maeve then made peace with Ulster and Cuchulainn. For 7 years afterwards, nobody was killed in a battle between the two sides. The men of Connacht returned to their own lands, and the men of Ulster returned to Eamon Macha, full of great triumph. And so ends the story of the Tain Bó Cuailgne. So, okay, well, yeah, that was the tale. And I'm just wondering, is there anything in that story that any of you can relate to in your own cultures or your own spiritual beliefs or anything? I don't think you will though, because it's not very spiritual. You're welcome. Okay, so I will leave it at that. Thank you for listening.